something very interesting happened in the media space, also in college coaching. Bruce Pearl steps down, retires as the head basketball coach at Auburn, names his son his successor. Mike Wilbon irritated a lot of people on social media and kind of surprised people with his take on, pardon the interruption, about Bruce Pearl. Let's play the clip and then we'll react.
Happy trails to coaching for Bruce Pearl. The Auburn coach is stepping down to become an ambassador for the athletic department. In his place, the school gave a 5-year deal to his son, Stephen. Pearl is 65. He has had terrific teams at Milwaukee, Tennessee, and Auburn, which made the Final Four last season and in 2019. His decision comes about a year after Tony Bennett did the same thing at UVA. Pearl said he will not run for the U.S. Senate, something that had been rumored.
Tony, he become a divisive person, it seems to me, intentionally, and I hope there was pressure to just get him out.
Really?
Yeah.
I always liked him. He was such a great guest. Yeah, we're on the other side on him.
Steve, that kind of shocked me. If he had said, hey, he had become a divisive force, I'd be okay. Yeah. Bruce Pearl's leading with his politics, and he's real out front with his conservative views and being a Zionist and all that. And if Mike wants to call that divisive, that's fine. But then I think what really triggered people is when he said, I hope he was forced out. I don't know if people could understand that one. Your thoughts?
I think it's interesting that as long as you agree with someone politically or culturally, you are encouraged to use your platform to amplify the message, right? But the minute you don't agree with it, you're divisive, and there's no room for it in sports. I think both sides are guilty of this. But I have a question for Wilbon. So was Colin Kaepernick divisive? And did he do so intentionally? And isn't it good then maybe he was forced out or did it himself? I think Wilbon's being a bit of a crybaby, but I don't really expect much different. Honestly, people always say, I respect your opinion. I think that's the biggest lie in modern day culture. They will respect and accept your opinion if they agree with it. I don't think there's an honest discourse anymore, and Wilbon's reaction showed that. But again, I have a question to Wilbon. Do you want these athletes and coaches to use their platform, or is it only to use their platform when you agree or align with them? That's the question that I have.
Here's what surprised me about Wilbon's opinion here is obviously Wilbon has been close with Charles Barkley for a long time. Charles Barkley played basketball at Auburn. Charles Barkley is a big supporter of Bruce Pearl. So what is Wilbon saying here? Does he know something from Barkley that maybe we don't know? Is he, it just seemed, it could just be politics. Bruce Pearl is right wing, I guess, but I don't know. The whole thing just caught me by surprise, and I understand why people are like, man, and you hope that he got pushed out? It's like, has Bruce Pearl... Now, I do think there's something, and Hadley, see if you can help me out, help me remember this. I saw it last night, but now I've forgotten it. But something went on, I think, maybe at the University of Illinois with Bruce Pearl, where Illinois fans are upset with Bruce Pearl and feel like he's some sort of snitch, maybe.
Oh, Mason. If I recall, that had to do over the recruitment of a player as a center by the name of Deion Thomas, and he broke the rules of recruiting by snitching and basically turning in Lou Henson. I guess with all that cheating, you're not allowed to report it on. Yeah, talk about honor system that's a little bit broken. Jason, what I also find interesting is a lot of these pundits, you know which ones, the usual suspects. I'm just glad he's not coaching black players anymore. It's always about the black players. Well, you know who had no problems with Bruce Pearl coaching black players, ironically enough? The black players that actually played for Bruce Pearl. In fact, judging by the fact, and I didn't watch a lot of college basketball, but I'm assuming that if they made the Final Four, they must have had a lot of black players. Okay, this was not modern day Adolph Rupp here. Okay, he didn't do it with a bunch of white guys. I'm assuming in the SEC, if you want to compete, I'll be honest, you got to have black players. In fact, you can have one or two white guys, a couple Europeans, maybe an Asian walk-on that never plays. But it's always interesting about, we got to look out for the young black players. Right, the ones that have been signing up to play for Bruce Pearl for decades.
I'm bending over backwards here. Obviously, I have a lot of respect for Mike. Obviously, me and Tony love Tony Kornheiser, love Mike. I'm bending over backwards trying to figure out what's going on here, but I'm lost for an explanation other than Bruce Pearl is right wing, and as a black person in the media, you have to be against those people, and you have to think they're the worst people on the planet and deserve to lose their job. I don't get it, but I'm not in Mike's shoes. I don't know what the pressure's like over at ESPN for on-air black employees. If you ask Sage Steele, it's pretty rough.
Yes.
So, Steve, John Gruden takes a shot here at Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson. And John Gruden's over at Barstool Sports. He's there, I think, talking with Dave Portnoy and maybe Greg Olson.
Yes.
But he's making his thoughts clear that he's got a problem with Belichick. He's got a problem with Michael Lombardi. Anyway, let's play the clip.
So, Coach, here's the thing. I followed the Patriots, and this was the ultimate no distraction guy. Don't talk to the media. Don't do anything that gets the people talking. Well, they're talking, and they're losing by 30. Have you ever had, and we've met your lovely wife, you have her drawing whiteboard plays. Has she ever been on the sidelines before a game?
Well, actually, she called the game winner against the Ravens on Monday Night Football a couple of years ago. She came down on the field and helped me through a tough situation. It was an all-out blitz, and she told me to go with 58 Surge. So thank God she saved the day that day. But I've never seen anything like that. Mike Lombardi works for North Carolina. I've heard him criticize me several times. I'm sure he'll produce a TikTok today explaining exactly what was going on there.
Woo!
Bill Belichick has made a fool of himself. His peers are mocking him for what it makes no sense. She was on the field before the game. What is he doing? And is John Gruden out of bounds here?
No, and also he made a fool out of UNC. I don't think they're getting all this. I think they're getting the Patriot way. And Jason, I want to make this clear, something I've said for months as we've talked about this. If that relationship was basically kept private, right, and all this other stuff did not happen throughout the offseason and her coming on the field before a game, we would just say that is a private adult relationship. Now, after what happened in the opening night game against TCU, where she was out there during warm-ups, engaging the temperature of the room, you would think Belichick and everyone else would say, honey, let's talk in the locker room or the bowels of the stadium, and I'll see you after the game. But as soon as I'm getting on the field to coach my team and prepare for battle, I don't want you around. I think then at that point you're good. But to repeat that mistake, and here's the other thing, and I like Mike Lombardi. I just recently bought his book, really enjoyed it. They acted like they had all the answers. Okay, now they're living in a glass house. In fact, they took a shot at Miami and Mario Cristobal. Mike Lombardi said, oh, look at Miami buying what have they won? They haven't. Oh, really, Mike? How's your team doing? You brought in a lot of players. You bought some guys. How are you looking? Right? So, again, it's one thing to do this and act this way when you're competing for Lombardi trophies. Right now, they look like a bad ACC team. And Jason, I've been watching some North Carolina football podcasts, guys who love the program, graduates and fans. The honeymoon is over. And guys that have to cover that team, I actually think they want this thing to end immediately. They're done with this.
Wow. Next thing you'll be telling me is Lawrence Taylor is off the Bill Belichick bandwagon after LT played at North Carolina. Help us grow the Fearless Army. Pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with all your fearless friends.